stock market crash is still coming. And this was after the 2008 crash. And the reason I could predict that the 2008 crash was just a prelude for the bigger crash coming, which we are in today in 2022. Well, I think why is there inflation is they're trying to prevent the collapse. And Jim Rickards, he's one of the smartest guys I know. He says, prepare, we're going to collapse. And as people don't understand, most 98% don't understand this. The dollar is a reserve currency of the world, which came about in 1944 with the Bretton Woods Agreement. We can just keep printing money, but the rest of the world's collapsing right now. And everybody depends upon the US printing. But that's why I watch China. And when Evergrande came down in 2021, the biggest real estate collapse in history, bigger than 2008. And all of a sudden, they lock people down with COVID. I've seen this story before because it happened in 2019. They're desperate, Brian. They're desperate. They're looking for anything that can stop this thing. But when, every time they said to me, don't fight the Fed, I'm saying, don't trust the Fed was my stay. Why would I trust those SOBs? They're a central bank system. The Rothschilds and all those guys control them. The richest families in the world control the central banks. And you said you pull the curtain aside. It's like the story of the Wizard of Oz. You pull the curtain aside. There's a little guy back there called the Fed chairman trying to keep the economy from collapsing on them. But they're going to keep printing until the thing is destroyed. That's my prediction. Well, there's people much smarter than me who say that. I've been saying that for years, but I was the whack job or the Chicken Little on the outside, some whack job I don't have a degree in finance. I have what my degree is in?
What?
Oil. So I went to U.S. Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York. And this is in 65 to 69. And I studied oil. So when Biden, as soon as that communism, I go to military school. Most of I think 100% of my teachers were men, not women. And there's a very big difference on the way men teach men and women teach men. And so one of the things going on today, this is off the subject, but socioeconomically, more men are raised by single moms today. And the reason for that is back when in history, if you are a mom with a kid and you had a husband that wasn't making it, it was better for you to divorce him so the government would take care of you. So what happened back in the 50s and 60s was that the government became the parent because it supported the mothers who take care of the kids. So we have a whole generation of fat boys coming up. Just recently, it was all over the news in America, the US Army cannot find men, soldiers. 1 out of 4 18-year-olds cannot qualify to meet the Army's needs. 1 out of 4 teenage boys are too fat and hoggy. They can't make the physical. But economics, as you know, Brian, is kind of a philosophy. So it's like Christianity is different than Buddhism or Hinduism or Muslim. So economics is kind of an economic religion, to keep it simple.
Yeah.
So when you read Marx, most academics, like my poor dad, who was a PhD from Stanford University, was a Marxist, but they don't know it. They're not bad people. But without financial education, they got no choice. They believe in labor unions. They believe in the tax the rich. They believe the abolition of private property. That's all Marx. If you read this book here, it's in here. So that was in 1965. I'm an 8-year-old kid getting yelled at and screamed at military school in New York. And actually, I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad in response to the Communist Manifesto, answering the question, why don't we teach money at school? It's not a mistake, Brian. It's not a mistake. Because what Marx predicted has come to us, 1848. Okay? He said communism would take over America specifically, or the capitalist world, in 2 stages. So stage 1 happened in 1930. In 1930, the Frankfurt School out of Berlin sent teachers to Columbia University Teachers College. That was in 1930. So communism invaded America through our teacher system. And that's why most teachers are Marxists, like my poor dad. Not bad people,
Right.
they think they're doing the right thing,
Right.
but they don't know how to make money. They want a pension, they want all the benefits and all that other stuff. They belong to labor unions. And what Marx says was, workers of the world unite, join a labor union. So my poor dad, well, my rich dad was anti-labor, and my poor dad was the head of the teachers union. So again, that's why I'm screwed up, Brian. I just call it economic religion.
Yeah. Yeah.
So capitalism is a religion, and Marxism is a religion. So is fascism. So is all those things. So when you can get it from that perspective, you have more options to choose which one you like. But the biggest problem today, again, is we have no financial education in our schools. But this is what's worse. I'm in New York City, 65 to 69, studying oil. I drove tankers for Standard Oil. I invest in oil wells today. I don't investigate in oil stocks. I want the real stuff. The Fed cannot print oil, Brian. You know that.
Not yet.
So what happened, by digressing, so when Biden took the Keystone Pipeline XL, whatever it is, off the list, oil went from $30 a barrel to $130 a barrel in a few days. So in other words, inflation went through the roof. It wiped out the middle class and the poor. But a guy like me who invests in oil wells, not oil stocks, I made so much money, because when the price of oil went up to 130, today I think it's 105. I'm creaming it right now. Unfortunately, it's killing the poor and middle class, because they can't put gas in the car, they can't buy groceries, and then they can't afford to shop. So I see all the clothes on sale everywhere and all this, and that's what's predicted in here. That's how I see the world from very economic point of view, but real economics. Do you know what I mean? They're inside the machine.
Yeah.
They're inside the whole grinder out there. And and this was book number 2. If I could show it to you, it's Cashflow Quadrant.
Oh yeah.
And the 4 people in capital or money all throughout the world. You have employees, small business, self-employed. You have big business, 500 employees or more. And you have I, it stands for insider. It doesn't stand for investor. So I always invest from the inside. And people say, well, isn't insider trading illegal? Yeah, for these guys. It's legal for these guys. The other thing is taxes, the only people that pay taxes are employees. They pay 40%. This is global. It's pretty much set by the central banks like the Rothschilds. And then S, the small business, the small entrepreneur, somebody says, I'm going to become an entrepreneur. They pay 60% taxes. So the small entrepreneur is crushed all from the start. But big business is 500 employees or more, defined by the Internal Revenue Service, the tax department, is 20%, and insiders pay 0.